Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're gonna talk about this controversial, sensitive, emotionally supercharged subject. As of May 31st, any games published by Kabam will no longer be available to download in App Store and Google Play in Russia. So as we approach this subject, I want to remind everybody to stay respectful. Also, the fact that there's nothing I can say that will appease everybody and that everybody will agree with. I never try to do that with my videos, but it is extremely important to keep an open mind with situations like this, because there are a lot of debates that we could have about morality of collective punishment, obviously about actions of Russia and the entire geopolitical situation, and we can jump down a very large rabbit hole. Therefore, I will try to keep subject of this video to 2 or 3 main points that refer to MCOC and this conflict, and obviously the impact on people living in Russia as well. Now, let me tell you this from the get-go. This is not the decision that I would have made. I understand that there are a lot of people watching this, cheering this on, and are happy about every single sanction that Western nations and companies and corporations are inflicting upon Russia. And without getting again into the deeper discussion on the war, fact of the matter is hundreds of companies, if not thousands of companies in different countries are inflicting economical and social pain upon Russia right now due to the war, due to the conflict that Russia initiated in Ukraine. Simple as that. We're going to leave that discussion there. And I will say from the gate, this is not the decision that I would have made. For the simple reason of that this game can be a window in Western opinions, in Western communities, in Western information sources, because a lot of people who are in Russia are primarily exposed to Russian propaganda, to Russian news outlets, to Kremlin, manufactured stories and everything else. The fact that Kabam cut off the payment system is pretty much already inflicting all of the financial pain that Kabam could inflict on that country. There can be no longer any transactions. The fact that people will not be able to download any of these games is a bit different story, because that is just shutting people out of this application altogether, and the only impact that this might have is the inconvenience or upset or anger on some people who used to play this game and can't do it anymore, even though obviously VPNs exist, and those who are most committed, those who are most invested in this game will find a way to play this game without a doubt. If Kabam can't ban a handful of modders and cheaters in battlegrounds, they sure as hell cannot block out every single Russian player out of this game, no matter how hard they tried. They're just not that capable, even if they were as determined, which I don't think they are. This, to me, stands much more of a moral virtue kind of signaling move. And don't get me wrong, at large, in general, as a principle, I do believe that corporations should stay out of social and political issues. I think corporations exist to produce a product, to bring revenue to their shareholders and owners, and to provide employment for people working there. That is it. As far as corporations are concerned, I do not consider them to be entities with opinion, stuff like that. It is a tool to achieve a result. However, there are obvious exceptions, and I do think that some things are just impossible to ignore or close a blind eye to, and this would be one of them. All that being said, still not the move that I would make. I think it is better and more important to expose as many Russian people as possible to countering points of view, to Western news channels, Western communities, Western people in general, to have conversations about everything that is happening, rather than just sealing them in their bubble. And obviously, if somebody plays this game, they are much more likely to be exposed to these opinions and communities than if they don't. Simple as that. And ultimately, I do think this decision will just bring more resentment towards West, Kabam, and everyone that's not Russian, for Russian people that have invested time and money in this game and now are basically being hanged out to dry. However, I will not go against this decision either. I can understand why Kabam made this decision. And the second conversation here is going to be about Russian people effectively saying that I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not for this war even, and I'm being punished now. And that is always the problem with group or collective punishment. And it is quite literally one of the main ground reasons why people say life is not fair. It is simple as that. Now imagine a situation where you live in a house, you're a teenager, and your dad doesn't pay mortgage. This is going to be the example that DNA 3000 used, and I think it is very poignant and befitting, because you can compare your authoritarian government, let's say, with your father, because they, effectively do control many aspects of your life. And you, as a teenager, how committed no sin. To no fault of your own, you're going to get kicked out of the home that you have lived in because of the actions of somebody that's in charge and responsible for you. And you are suffering because of it. This situation, unfortunately, is similar. On top of that, I do think that there is a correlation in between people and the leaders of those people. Obviously, it is much more civil and much more straightforward interaction in democracies, where if you do a shit job managing a country and if you make the lives worse for your people, you will just get voted out and you will not get into power again. Obviously, in autocratic regimes and countries, it is much harder, but the same things still frequently do happen. When you push your people to the breaking point, then quite often, these regimes do fall. With only, not exceptions, but balance offsets of that is pending how much propaganda and how much information you control in your own country, and if you can find better scapegoats, which is, again, something that is quite actively happening in Russia, where propaganda war is definitely waging very, very hard. Which again just serves to my previous example, previous point, where I would not have done this personally. I think it is more beneficial to let more Russian people interact with Western people and therefore be exposed to Western points of view, Western news sources, Western outlets, Western culture, much more, better than having them just be sealed off completely in their own bubble. I don't think that is going to be ultimately a net positive in this situation. But again, as I said, I cannot, condemn or go against this move either, because I can understand why Kabam is doing this alongside with other hundreds and thousands of companies. At the same time, I want to make sure that people from Russia who watch my channel, and there are plenty of Russian viewers, that they understand that I do not have some sort of, immediate malicious intent or thoughts towards people from Russia just because they are from Russia. Now, if you would come to my stream, bring up the conflict in Russia and try to, parrot Russian propaganda talking points, then that would be a different opinion. Because there is a very hard discussion to be had. Obviously, not everything is black and white. There are things that, stand on the side of Russians as well. But ultimately, when it comes down to breaking it all down, as far as I and majority of the Western world is concerned, there is a clear aggressor in this situation. There is a clear initiator. There is one country, one leader who did make a decision that resulted in deaths of tens and tens of thousands and untold disaster and destruction. At which point, I also want to welcome everybody in Russia, take a stand back and compare inconvenience of not being able to access a mobile video game to inconvenience of bombs flying in the air, bullets flying through your cities, tanks destroying buildings and people dying. Those are completely incomparable things. So whilst I do want to say that I feel bad for people in Russia, I also want to say cry me a river. Because perspective matters. And whilst I can relate, I can put myself into shoes how much it would suck if I would be unable to play this game because of the actions of the government that I might not even have wanted or supported or voted for would affect me. At the same time, I think that would be a very decent point to have a bit of self-reflection and understand that this is very little compared to what your government, your people, your country is putting another group of people through. And in my personal opinion, it's always very healthy to keep a perspective of things. This game means a lot to me. This game means a lot to me, without a doubt. I'd drop it in a second without complaint if that would mean I could save somebody's life. For instance. Because not all things are the same. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. I know it is a very complex subject. And most importantly, please stay respectful. See ya.
Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the